Lyrically, I'm gifted. Gifted. It's time for the rush. Rapping is my fitness.
Anytime you're ready to press record, Skip.
Ready.
It's going. I'm Anzac. I'm here with Richard, or better known as Saxa.
Hi.
Saxa, what do you got there, mate?
This is a 1932 Conn tenor saxophone that originally belonged to my father, and it has a very nice vintage metal sound to it, but it's known for its ability to really play loud if you need it to play loud.
Yeah. So 1932. This must be the oldest instrument ever to be on a hip hop stage. I mean, no, like your dad seriously played this?
Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. Hey, I didn't know that till just now. I guess the question is, the saxophone's been around before hip hop.
Yeah.
What was your first memory of hip hop, Rich?
Well, I think I'd have to go back to the old Jamaican Toasters that rapped over Jamaican beats, and from there.
What year are we talking about here?
We're talking about back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s.
Because a lot of people say that
hip hop is just recent, but no.
Well, hip hop came from the blacks in America, the Brooklyn, the Bronx, or Queens, or Harlem, and them rapping over beats. But some people say it came from the jazz. What?
But even before that, I think there were like the Jamaican Toasters were doing rap. It was just spoken over tracks that they would do music, and then that I think that influenced later the street artists in Brooklyn and New York, starting with their.
From New York, is that right?
No, but I can remember seeing videos of street artists in New York with their boombox and just on the steps
in the 70s, 1970s.
Wow,
this is fantastic.
Playing the boombox on the steps, and then just standing on the sidewalk and rapping away.
Rapping away.
Yeah.
And did you ever think back then, in the 60s and 70s, that you'd be in a hip hop band playing a saxophone?
No.
Well, look.
But that shows how kind of I think inclusive hip hop can be.
Yeah.
Because it samples a lot of different styles of music, and you can have hip hop jazz, you can have hip hop reggae, you can have hip hop metal.
Yeah.
So it can incorporate a lot of different styles, and so I mean it's not surprising that you start to see a lot of different instruments being used in hip hop now.
And so you've been on stage not just with hip hop but with jazz and so much in your life. Can you think off the top of your head a funny little story? Well, I've put him on the spot here. Sorry, Rich. Sorry. You don't have to do that.
Edited.
Edit that one out. What about a good story?
Let's see. But the story when I met you.
Well there you go. And all downhill from there.
And I was busking on the Corso in Manly.
Manly representing.
Out in front of Westpac Bank, as I recall.
Yeah.
And I was just playing some kind of jazz standards and things like that, and riffing on those, and Julian came up to me and
Anzac, Rich, Anzac.
Anzac came up to me and said, I have a song. I'm going into the studio tomorrow, and your sax would fit perfect.
I think it was that night. Was it that night?
It was the next day, I think.
We got the phone ringing. Is that yours?
It's mine. Can I get it?
Oh, forget about it. So that was
So I said, yeah, sure. I don't know if it's gonna add anything to it. But
Yeah.
So we go in the studio the next day, and here it's like the perfect song for a saxophone.
The jazz man.
And somehow I came up with a decent part.
Oh, well, you stole the show, Rich. And that song's now about you, because that song I wrote it, busking in Manly. The day before we recorded it, I met you busking in Manly.
And busking,
And it must have been a sign from somebody.
Yeah, and then from there it was, the early gigs when it was just...
just us, you, me, Mickey.
yeah.
Yeah. You, me, Mickey, and a CD player.
Yeah, and then, so it's been a good journey.
It's been fun, hey?
Yeah, it's been great.
And where do you see Richard Saxa going as, your instrument with hip hop or jazz or this? I mean, the future, 10 years, 20 years. You've done so much, Rich. You've been in the music scene for years. What does someone like you, who's performed and branched out and mastered your instrument, what do you want to achieve?
Yeah, I'm really excited just to leave everything open, but the opportunities and the different styles of music. I mean, I could listen to a tune, tomorrow, and all of a sudden it brings something to mind of a particular style or a particular type of music, and think, I never thought of that, and maybe a saxophone would really work with that, and so the future, I like keeping it open, and I mean, I like the journey with Anzac and the hip hop, and I never would have pictured that the saxophone or that I'd even be playing, but that it works,
and they love it.
It works.
The people are like, oh, where's that saxophone player? He's the man. All the girls, yeah, I love you, Saxa.
So I'm looking forward to the future. Actually.
Yeah. Well,
what's the next corner that's going to turn?
Well, who knows? I guess this next album, which you're such a big part of, because now working with the big Skip, who makes the beats. He makes his beats by sampling jazz music a lot of the time, not all the time. So bringing you in creates it's just fantastic, because
I like
you've got that real sound with those sampled jazz beats.
And I like the thread that you've incorporated more jazz. I mean, you had jazz on your previous recordings, but you're bringing that in more now.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the future of rap, incorporating jazz and things like that, or styles of music that you wouldn't think of.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like,
like
jazz
gangster rap,
and hip hop does.
That
does
doesn't
work?
that doesn't mix, but it does. It does.
Well,
it works.
now you look at what's popular in hip hop on Top 40, and it's all synthesized beats, and the thing that affects your vocals and stuff. But that's what's been big for so long.
Very processed kind of.
Processed up, but when you sample it and get live instruments in, like a saxophone, it just sounds so much better.
Oh yeah.
It sounds so much better.
Yeah.
And working with people is all about hip hop. Having the saxophone, having the didgeridoo,
the connection.
This is an interview on you, and I've just rambled on, Rich. Is there anything? Last words. I'll leave it to you. Last words.
It's great. The journey has been great playing hip hop, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah,
That was fantastic. That was fantastic, Rich. That was the best interview.